Hello guys, welcome back to Roxham TV and also welcome back to Jam Crypto. Whichever platform you're watching on, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. As for Bitcoin, it's kind of consolidating ever since our live stream yesterday. We know that Bitcoin has been doing pretty well ever since the weekend because we have the CPI report came out on Friday. It was better than expected. We also have the China and US still finally they are on the talk and looks like the 100% tariff rate is basically on a pause. So market went on a little rally. We know Bitcoin has been pumping basically at 108 or 107K to 116K, like breaking a major resistance. However, as of yesterday, we were looking at Bitcoin chart. We drew basically a rectangle, so this range between 114K to 115K, and looks like Bitcoin is really hanging on by a thread, like trying to get into the region, trying to stay inside this rectangle, hanging by the dear life, I would say. So of course, like today we're gonna look at Bitcoin chart, do some chart analysis. As always, I always like to open my show with a little bit of TA. But however, because yesterday I did like a full-on TA for more than half an hour. So if you guys really want to check out and really get a hands of where Bitcoin is going, I highly recommend you checking yesterday live stream where I break down in details. Today's show, we're gonna of course start with TA, but I also want to dive into the on-chain analysis a little bit because yesterday I didn't get the time to do it. So today, the agenda are going to be Bitcoin TA and then on-chain, of course, some news analysis because we have somewhat good news from MicroStrategy, so MSTL. Again, we covered that extensively in yesterday's show that the reason why I'm so bearish on the whole Bitcoin proxy companies is because of the method and basically a bunch of copycats in the market right now following this trend. But MSTL yesterday, we have a proper rating, so global rating. So it's somewhat good news, but it's also kind of a bad news. It really depends on how you view this thing because we don't have a really nice ranking, nice rating when it comes to MSTL. So we're going to look into that. We also have a new Fed chair. So of course we know Jerome Powell, his term going to come to an end in May 2026 next year. So Donald Trump is right now trying to find a good suit, a good candidate to replace Jerome Powell. So anyways, a lot of exciting agenda. So without further ado, let's dive into the chart right now. Of course, we are starting out with the hourly chart. So we're slowly building up the time frame here. So from a shorter time frame to a higher time frame. So on the 1 hour chart, one thing I noticed about the shorter time frame is that we have a nice, like a rising support level. Basically, ever since 103K, we touched 103K. That was back in 17th of October. So there was like so much blood in the market. The market has been so wounded. Everyone was wounded. That's not the October we promised when we enter the October narrative. So basically we have this like nice little rising support. We also drew this like rectangle range, so between 114K and 115K. The reason why this is so critical, okay, yesterday when we were doing the show, Bitcoin trying to, okay, we actually broke above this, but I was saying yesterday, let's see if Bitcoin managed to actually hold this as support, because what we noticed is that the RSI yesterday, it went a little crazy. So it went to 81 on the RSI. That means it's really overheated. So when I was doing TA is that, okay, we need to have the RSI kind of like reset a little, some breathing room, because there is no staircase to the moon, to the basically to all-time high. So that's what we saw. But one thing we noticed is that, okay, Bitcoin actually dipped below this rectangle range. So it dipped below 114. Right now, we are trying to get close and actually trade inside this range again, like this dip from 115 all the way to 113.4. Okay, maybe dollar wise it's a lot of money, but like if you actually look at the percentage wise, just like a 2%. So it's not like too concerning. It's kind of expected because like again the RSI was taking up a lot. It went really crazy. So what I said yesterday, so my speculation is that okay, we might consolidate inside this box, but now that we have broken Bitcoin, like one thing I'm eyeing very closely is that whether this hourly chart we manage to close inside this box again to see a little bit of strength. Otherwise, I'm being more cautious, and especially we know that FOMC meeting going to happen in less than 2 days, like tomorrow, basically tomorrow nighttime in Hong Kong. So wait, how many hours though? Okay, 1 day and 9 hours. So there you go. So it's gonna happen in a day, basically. So there's a lot of volatility, but one thing I noticed, let's also pull out the RSI as well. So let me draw the trend line on the RSI. So one thing I noticed is that we also kind of broken out of this um, this support level, which is not necessarily a good sign. It's a little bit bearish on the short time frame. Let's see if Bitcoin manage to break above this, because otherwise, like on the shorter time frame, it does look like there is some warning, at least on the hourly chart. So all eyes on the Fed, like what's going to happen in basically 1 day and 9 hours. So let's see if the Fed, like we almost certain that they're going to cut at least 25 basis point. That is, I would say no argument there. But I kind of want to focus on Jerome Powell's tone. Like if he's going to say that for the rest of 2025, we're only going to get one rate cut. If so, the market going to tank for sure. But if his tone kind of switched to more dovish, so maybe he would say, okay, QT is going to come to an end very soon. Again, we have big banks predicting that we're going to end QT as soon as 2025. So maybe in a few weeks' time. That's a little crazy. So if that's what Jerome Powell gonna say in 1 day, basically tomorrow, then the market gonna like that a lot. It really depends on how that gonna play out tomorrow. So do expect huge volatility. Let's also hop onto the daily chart right now. So slowly building up the case. All right, so for the daily chart, again, we have been basically up since Thursday. So it's okay for Bitcoin to pull back a little bit. So in matter of like four consecutive days, we have been up for like more than 7%. So that's a nice little pump. Again, like this month is so crazy. So if we look at the Bitcoin monthly return, we know, okay, even though in September when we're doing the live stream, we have been seeing, oh, October is so far the strongest month in terms of Bitcoin's history return. And it has always been the case. Like if you scroll down, we see October, only 2 months out of like 12 months, we end up getting a negative rate. Well, this month is so crazy. I would argue is actually one of the craziest months in Bitcoin's entire history. Like, of course, it's not the craziest, but one of the craziest. The reason I will say this is that there's so much manipulation. There is so much insider trading in this October, and there's so much tariffs roller coaster, like in and out. I would say, like, someone would argue this is crime season, and it does feel a little bit like that in a way. And especially when we saw the Black Friday on 10th of October, basically two and a half weeks ago, we saw that basically the few wallets that pull a short position on Hyperliquid, because like everything is decentralized. Everything is transparent. You can check everything on the blockchain. So that's one being. And then there are also other stuff, maybe like CC get pardoned. So people are saying, okay, can you just pay to get pardoned? So it's full on crime season. So that's one allegation. But like so far, October 2025, I would say I'll actually mark it on calendar. This is a month that I don't think I'll ever forget in my life. Like a president of the United States actually um uh this is a huge allegation, but like it does feel like maybe people around Donald Trump know some information and other really shady stuff that we have seen is that okay on poly market is this a great platform we saw a whales basically pull in the bet saying that CC would get pardoned just before CC got pardoned. So there's so much insider trading right here. I know we all in crypto, so we all in Bitcoin get benefited from a lot of regulations by Donald Trump from his administration, but like at the same time, like there we can't ignore the fact there is like a hidden hand in the market right now. So like if we didn't know this, like it's definitely not advantageous when it comes to our trading. So it's good to know that about the market force. All right, so that's for the basically the monthly return and how crazy the October narrative. Again, I'm trying not to spend too much time on the TA today because I covered that extensively yesterday. If you guys want to check out a little bit more in details, I recommend checking yesterday live stream. All right, let's also hop onto the weekly. So weekly one thing I noticed is that we have been building up the bearish divergence on the RSI. So let's go ahead and pull up the RSI. We have been building that up basically since, so here Bitcoin is going higher. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. However, on the RSI, we also noticed there's like a downward trend going down. Basically, we've been building up this sentiment ever since March of 2024. So we have been building up for months now, more than a year. So a bearish divergence, of course, is a early signal that okay, maybe the market is not supporting, like the volume is not supporting as much. Again, like I won't say I wouldn't stress this too much for the RSI bearish divergence because for us to actually, okay, we go down, it can take weeks or months to actually play out to have a bigger pullback on a macro scheme of things, so on a higher time frame. As we can see, we have been building this up since March 2024. So what this chart actually shows us is that we are at the later stage of the bull market. So there is still room to grow for sure. There's always a possibility. But again, we are not like really early and this kind of I would say align with the 4-year cycle as well. So if you guys are a big fan of the 4-year cycle, this is what is reflecting on the RSI as well. So in order for me to be like basically full on bull, like bull momentum start again, okay, we're gonna have a entire bull market. Bitcoin is no longer gonna bear market. So in order for me to completely switch that narrative for the higher time frame, for the weekly chart, I need to see Bitcoin actually break above the RSI because right now we're still trading below that. So I would like to see this actually, we've broken the rule for me to be basically long-term bullish on the Bitcoin weekly chart and completely wipe that 4-year cycle out of the book. I mean, Bitcoin is getting so mature. We are becoming a multi-trillion dollars asset. So it's only a matter of time that the 4-year cycle is no longer relevant. But is it as soon as 2025 this year? I mean, I have my doubt. There are three groups of people. So the first group is that some people will happen to think 126K is already the cycle top, which was seen on 6th of October. The second group is that okay, we're gonna see a cycle top in Q4. I'm more siding with the second group, and then we have the third group of people that okay, the 4-year cycle is no longer intact because this cycle is so different. Institutions are in, nations are in. So basically, we're not going to see a bear market again. So I will say until this actually play out on my chart, until I've actually seen proof instead of just like some narrative people say, then I kind of play it cautiously. That is at least what what my logic has been telling me. All right, so that's for the TA. Let's also hop on to the on-chain analysis as I promised you guys. So the first indicator I'm bringing to you guys is the short-term holder cost basis change. So what the hell does this mean? So it shows the average buy price of Bitcoin for short-term holders, like meaning people bought Bitcoin within the last 155 days. The number acts like a line in the sand. When Bitcoin's price is above this level, so we have this pink line here. So when it's above, it often means confidence is high and the market is bullish. When it's below instead, it shows fear and selling pressure. In simple terms, it's like a momentum line that helps us to see which side of the market has control right now. At the moment, Bitcoin's price has moved above this level, so 113K, that is a critical level. That is a sign for the bulls. It means short-term investors are in profit again and are less likely to sell. Trader sees this as a healthy signal that momentum could be building for another leg up. Fast traders may already call this a confirmed uptrend, while the careful ones might want to wait if Bitcoin can stay above this 113K for several days at the least. So we're not just like touching it or kissing this line and then we got rejected. So the question now is, can we actually hold above 113K? If the price drops back near this level, the reaction there would tell us a lot. Like holding above it would show strong demand and keep the bull case alive. Falling below it mean the rally is losing strength. So the week, like basically this week, we are watching the short-term holder cost basis very closely. Is the heartbeat of the short-term market sentiment. So this is the first indicator we're going to look at. Let's also hop onto the second on-chain. So the second one is Bitcoin Cycle Extreme Oscillators. This is not our first time looking at this. This is one of the favorite metrics that I use because it's a combined indicator made from 8 different Bitcoin metrics. So stuff like MVL fee, SOPL, Mayer multiplier. So stuff like that. Like, of course, you don't need to remember all of them. What matter is that this tool helps spot when the market is too hot or too cold. When 4 out of 8 of these signals flash hot, it gives a warm signal. Like we see like we circle in the yellow color, so meaning the market might be getting a little bit overheated. When 6 out of 8 flash hot, it turns, of course, overheated, often appearing near major tops in bull markets. The opposite is also true, like when 4 or 6 flash cool, we get cool or oversold, showing possible bottoms in bear markets. So what's happening in this chart right now, right at this instance, is that the oscillators suggest the bull market is still healthy. And while we saw a brief warm moment that was back in here in March 2024, that was the first mini top of the cycle, we haven't seen another warm or overheated signal since then, even with 2 more local highs. This tells us one thing: the market hasn't reached its extreme phase yet. In other words, we are not in a full-blown top. there's still room for the cycle to grow before things get too hot. But I would agree, like we are at the later stage of the bull market. So if these indicators start flashing warm or overheated again, that could be an early warning that the bull market is maturing. But for now, the lack of such signals means the market, like the bear market, hasn't actually started and momentum still favored the upside. All right, so that's the second indicator. The third and the final on-chain indicator is Bitcoin's magic lines. So the 128 day moving average, 200 day, 365 days moving average. So think of these lines like over a number of different dates, right? They help show if the market is trending up or down. When Bitcoin's price is above a key moving average, it often means buyers are in control. When it's below, sellers have the upper hand. Right now, the most important line to watch is, of course, the short-term one, so 128 days. This level often acts as the short-term support or resistance and helps traders decide whether to buy or sell or wait. So what's happening right now? Recently, Bitcoin dropped below so if we zoom closer, it went below the blue line and also the pink line, which of course worried many traders. But over the weekend, Bitcoin made a strong comeback, breaking above the 128, so the blue line, and also the pink line here. This is encouraging sign of bulls. Staying above this level adds confidence that the short-term bull trend is still alive and could even push Bitcoin toward new highs. Traders will now watch to see if Bitcoin can keep closing above this line over the next few days. Overall, I would say this week is very volatile. Like the US and China deals hasn't set in stone yet, so very much that the two most powerful countries can again on a fight, causing more FUD in the market. And we still have the FOMC meeting basically tomorrow, so short-term swings in both sides are very much on the table. But the key level that really matters remains the short-term holder cost basis, so 13,000, the same line that's guided us all year. The recent dip caused a lot of panic for sure, but it may have flushed out weak sellers. If Bitcoin can hold above both this 128 and 200 day moving average and also the short-term cost basis line, it will confirm strong momentum for bulls and possibly set the stage for the next move towards new all-time high that we've been longing for. Anyways, that's a lot of data, a lot of numbers to digest. Next segment of the show, we're gonna do a little bit of news analysis. We're gonna look at MicroStrategy because there are some like breaking news. It could be bad or it could be good for MSTL. Like if you guys are a holder MSTL, you might want to pay attention to this. But anyways, we're gonna take a little break and I will see you guys after 3 minutes.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
He's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
Alright guys, welcome back Legend. As I promised you guys, we are gonna look at the news analysis and really look at what MicroStrategy has been doing, because we now have the news from basically S&P Global rating gave MicroStrategy a B minus. So what's that? Or what's this B minus? It certainly does not look like a really good grade. So basically, it's a long-term credit rating with a stable outlook. This is actually the first time ever that a major rating agency has rated a company mainly holding Bitcoin as its main asset. This is a big moment for Bitcoin and TradFi, because it's a sign that BTC is now part of the mainstream corporate finance. But the B minus, like, what's up with this? Like, it also shows risk remains high since MicroStrategy depends almost completely on Bitcoin's price. Right now, let's take a look at how many Bitcoins MicroStrategy is holding. So they are holding 640,000 BTC, so that's a lot of BTC, and an average price of $74,000 per BTC. So it's worth like more than $70 billion with about $8 billion in debt. So why is this rating matter so much? Because like I know a lot of you guys are from crypto world or from the Bitcoin world, so we might not know the TradFi world that much. But this rating is important because it gives Bitcoin a seat at the Wall Street table. Is again validation for Bitcoin. S&P now treats Bitcoin like a real asset in its models. This could make other companies more confident about adding BTC to the balance sheet, and also many investors on Twitter call it the start of the institutional era, like pension funds and big investors can now look at BTC treasury companies more seriously. Still, S&P won that, the S&P Global rating, so they won that BTC volatility and liquidity make MicroStrategy equity riskier, meaning this won't attract all investors. So, to break it down, maybe provide a little bit more context about this, like S&P Global ratings. This is actually one of the big three rating agencies, along with Moody's, along with Fitch. So it rates how likely companies or governments or projects are to pay back their debt, kind of like a credit score, but for big organizations. So the rating goes from, of course, like triple A to triple B being medium, and then we have double B and then triple C, and D stands for default. So B minus right here, it means high risk but not collapsing. There's still a stable outlook, means like S&P doesn't expect big changes soon. And they have actually rated a lot of like companies. So if we look at the track record, they rated MicroStrategy with a triple A reaffirmed in 2024. S&P has assigned a stable outlook. Its ability to maintain this top rating is due to its strong market position and diversified income streams. And then we have another triple A for Johnson & Johnson, reaffirmed in 2025, also with a stable outlook. S&P noted that while recent acquisitions have increased the company's long-term debt, Johnson & Johnson has strong levers to quickly reduce leverage and maintain a robust financial profile. And of course, there are Alphabet, so Google, and then with AA+, we also have Apple, Amazon, even JP Morgan Chase, but AA minus, so that's interesting. All right, so of course, higher ratings, it means like cheaper borrowing and more investor confidence. For MicroStrategy, a B minus, it puts it in the speculative category. So not bad for a Bitcoin company, but of course, there's still risk involved. But okay, at the end of the day, we care about the price action, right? So how did MSTR react to this? By the way, let me know in the live chat if you guys hold any of this like Bitcoin treasury companies. I still hold MSTR, but like I got in early, so I'm still okay. But like As for how did MSTL react, if we go to the 1 day, like okay, like MSTL pumped like 2% on a day for that news. I mean, it's not bad. So people celebrating that is a milestone rather than worrying, okay, that B minus is actually a junk label, stuff like that. But if we zoom out, okay, we zoom out to 1 year, we have been down a lot. Right now, we're only trading at $295. This is far below compared to just the in 2025, so November 2024. So we were trading like close to $500. So MSTL still got a lot to catch up. Like if you ask me, am I being bearish on MSTL? I mean, it has dropped a lot this month. If we go to the monthly chart, we dropped like 10% this month alone, while Bitcoin is actually up 3% this month. I mean, this past month. So, and one thing we also noticed about MSTL, we actually cover that on Roxham TV as well. So if we go ahead and pull out, so this is the MSTL chart, and we go ahead and pull out the 50-week moving average, so which is the blue line here, MSTL actually has been trading below the 50-week, which again, that is not a good look for MSTL. The reason why MSTL has been underperforming even against BTC, okay, like MicroStrategy keeps issuing new shares to buy BTC, so there is a risk of diluting, but like they argue that like since they are raising more BTC, so there's more BTC per share. That's the argument they have. And then its stocks used to trade above the value of the BTC, so there's like a premium, like the MNAV. We cover that extensively as well. But that MNAV is shrinking. That premium is no longer that big because MicroStrategy, like we have seen 2.5x, that is like a huge premium, but this no longer is the case. And especially when Bitcoin is kind of correcting a little bit, MSTL is on steroid because they are on kind of like a leverage. So why people like basically I covered this yesterday as well. I've been bearish on the whole Bitcoin treasury companies for months. So it's not just right now. I've been calling it a bubble for months, basically ever since it got so popular. The reason why, okay, first of all, the premium is shrinking, is collapsing. Like there are, okay, if we go back to the, okay, bitcointreasuries.net. So if we go back to the list, like there are more than 1/3 of these companies actually trading below 1 MNAV, 1x. So the premium is shrinking. We also have the dilution problem because like the method of these companies raising funds in order to buy Bitcoin is very critical. So whether they're using equity, so selling equity or raising debt, that those like it's like a magical number, like a magical balance. If these companies don't manage the debt to equity ratio very carefully, then you will see that they're running into this risk. And I've been bearish like months ago, especially when you look at this list. This is only top 100, but there are close to 200 companies, or maybe probably more than that if I didn't know already. But like there are more than close to 200 Bitcoin treasury companies, and they are all copycats of MicroStrategy. So like the narrative, it feels really bubbly. Is it even what? Very bubbly. So still MSTL remains the leader. Of course, like Michael Saylor himself, he almost had this like cult culture. He has been going to TradFi platforms, I don't know, like CNBC, shielding Bitcoin, shielding the strategy for God knows how long, so for years. So he has created this following, this cult that they are diehard fan for MSTL. So MSTL long-term wise, I think it's still going to be okay, but we need some bullish catalyst in order for MSTL to go above this 50-week moving average. Like there are some catalysts that I could think of, like maybe being added to the S&P 500 once and for all. We know a few months ago Coinbase being added, but not MicroStrategy, so that's interesting. If MSTL qualifies, it could trigger the ETF inflow and a really huge rally. And also the second catalyst I could think of is like BTC. So if it reached new all-time high, breaking 130K. Yesterday we were seeing the number of $137,000. So if we manage to get back to, break a new all-time high, BTC could, MSTL could hit 400, like breaking 400 again. So even like some analysts, they are so bullish on MSTL. They are calling $1,000 worth of like MSTL long-term price target if BTC breaks new all-time high, which is again, like if you look at this trend, trading below 50-week, we still have a lot of catching up to do when it comes to MSTL. So again, like this news, wait, where is it again? All right, so like S&P rating, this news, like it doesn't mean MicroStrategy is suddenly safe. It means Bitcoin is now being taken seriously by Wall Street. So for bulls, it's foundation. For bears, it's a warning to MSTL. So it depends where you stand in the market. So what you believe. So do let me know if you have any perspectives to share in the live chat. Anyways, let's move on to the next piece of news. Like we covered a little bit in the beginning of the show, like Donald Trump is about to announce a new Fed chair, and he actually say that by the end of year, months before Jerome Powell's term ends in May 2026, he will have this like final candidates. So it boiled down to 5 candidates, of course, like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed this 5 candidates. So if you guys want to look them up, here's the list. So the finalists are the Fed governors Christopher Waller and Michelle Bowman, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, former Fed Governor Kevin Walsh, and BlackRock executive Rick Ryder. And for those of you who are interested to know how they look like, here's the pictures. So here are the 5 candidates. So what Donald Trump wants is, of course, a more dovish Fed, the one that favors lower interest rates and faster growth, and a sharp contrast to Jerome Powell's cautious approach. So Donald Trump actually made this comment on Air Force One, saying he may choose Jerome Powell replacement maybe by the end of year. Jerome Powell actually, I would say very, very ironically, Jerome Powell was first appointed by Donald Trump back in 2017. And right now, Donald Trump has been attacking him so aggressively, actually for months, saying that, well, actually for years, even during Biden's administration. So Donald Trump has been attacking Jerome Powell, saying, okay, Jerome too late Powell when it comes to the rate cut. So we also have confirmation from Scott Bessent that after Thanksgiving, the decision like timeline is going to be out, like it's real. The team wants a dovish, pro-growth chair in place before 2026 cycle starts. So this marks a return to a political influence over the Fed, raising questions about independence. Markets immediately priced in earlier rate cuts and a possible return of quantitative easing, so QE, in 2026. And basically, crypto Twitter sum up everything. Like it's bullish for crypto versus just more noise from Donald Trump. All right, so if Donald Trump appoints a dovish Fed, like of course that person, whoever this person is, we're gonna expect like aggressive rate cuts ahead. So here's what could happen. Risk on assets gonna like it a lot, like including stocks, because like lower rates make borrowing cheaper. Like if it's cheaper, then might as well bet a little bit more money onto higher return assets. And then when it comes to rate cuts, it's also gonna drop the bond yields, because bond yields will, of course, like the bond price gonna rise, and then bond yields and bond price, they have inverse correlation. So which also mean a weaker US dollar could help with exports and commodities. However, we are running into the risk of inflation as well, because too many cuts too soon, it could really reignite inflation. So overall, the markets may front run these changes, expecting rate cuts by Q1 2026 aggressively, even before Donald Trump's new appointee takes office. So, like, people are having some speculation, like if someone like Kevin Hassett or Rick Ryder wins, it could really trigger a liquidity wave. However, if someone like Walsh or Bauman is chosen, do expect like a slower, more cautious approach. As for Bitcoin, like every single time the Fed cut rates, Bitcoin benefits. So history shows the pattern clearly back in 2020 when we were like in a major QE. The Fed was printing unlimited amount of money, cutting rates to near zero. So a new dovish Fed, of course, that means more money in the system. So perhaps more demand for BTC. Crypto bulls believe that this could really push Bitcoin into an up-only narrative. So we no longer see bear market. I mean, I think that is an interesting take, but I see where they're coming from, and possibly could send Bitcoin way beyond $137,000 by year end 2025. Of course, not everyone agrees with this. Actually, like aggressive rate cuts can cause some short-term volatility. Like that is actually being seen in 2022, like when early easing trigger a 40% Bitcoin correction before recovery. Like this is because rate cuts are actually a magical balance. So if I in the Fed position, like it's actually a really difficult situation, because when you are cutting rates, it tells the economy to put more gas in the car. So we want to go faster. So please, like, put more gas on the pedal. Like, if it cuts too aggressively, it actually has an opposite effect, since it might also signal that the economy is not doing so well and we are heading for a recession. Because otherwise, why would you put so much gas in the car? Like, why would we want to push the car to go so fast, right? So that's what it means. So when we look at the market right now, S&P is at all-time high, gold is at all-time high, like everything is doing so well, like silver is doing so well, Bitcoin is like not too bad at the moment. So there isn't much reason for the Fed to cut rates. So yes, like liquidity helps crypto and Bitcoin, but timing, it really does matter. Traditionally, of course, like Bitcoin follows a 4-year cycle. So we have the halving, and then we have like 12 to 18 months, and then the bull market bull market peak, and then we have a full-on bear market, like a bear reset. But some say 2025 may be so different. Like Bitcoin has been consolidating around 110K 18 months after the April 2024 halving, and we haven't seen a clear blow off top. So again, the three groups of people. The first group is that we have seen the cycle top on 6th of October. Second group is cycle top in Q4, so possibly in November or December. The third group is that we're no longer going to see a bear market. So type out number 1, 2, 3 in the live chat, which one you believe, like which group of people you side with. But okay, there are indicators to watch for the cycle integrity, like whether we are entering like prolonged bear market. So first of all is the institutional flows. So we could pay attention to the ETF or stablecoin inflows, high flows. Of course, it deepens volatility. And second indicator is actually S&P 500, because like Bitcoin and S&P, they're so closely correlated they have a 0.8 correlation. So if you are vibing with that people, so you think like macro now drives Bitcoin instead of the 4-year cycle. And one thing I find it really interesting, because like when I'm actually talking to TradFi folks, they would be really surprised that the crypto folks are concerned that we are entering a prolonged bear market, because what TradFi people like to do is that they like to look at macro, and then macro so far has been so favorable. So everything looks so bullish. So they're really surprised at why we have this mentality about this 4-year cycle when everything like looks fine. But anyways, like when it comes to this like 5 candidates, of course we have some prediction on poly market. So 35% of people think that Kevin Hassett gonna win, so it's gonna be the final Fed chair, and then another 23% gonna think that is Christopher Waller. So whoever gonna replace Jerome Powell, we're probably gonna know that in months. So if Donald Trump appoints a pro-crypto Fed chair, of course the market may see the return of easy money like feeling stocks, risk assets, and crypto. But this also means, because Fed is supposed to be independent, this is actually weakening the Fed independence. I'll say, if you ask me, my honest opinion is that Jerome Powell has done a decent job. Like, I don't think this is a position that even anyone would do. Is going to be very, it's a hot spot. Let's just put it that way. Like, we have seen inflation taking up like close to double digit because of the government's printing money for the COVID stimulus. And Jerome Powell still managed to bring like a 9.1 something % inflation right now down to 3%. And without crashing the market, we are seeing S&P 500 reaching new all-time high, gold new all-time high, Bitcoin close to new all-time high as well. So yeah, I kind of want to give some credits to Jerome Powell. As for Bitcoin, like this setup looks like the start of the new macro-driven super cycle, possibly ending the 4-year cycle once and for all. All right, so let's move on to the last piece of news. I actually wanted to cover this yesterday, but we didn't have enough time, but we have a few more minutes. I actually want to talk more about security, because that is very important. And I was personally affected by this. Like, if you guys were watching my show for quite some time, you know my Twitter got hacked, my MetaMask got drained. So when I see news like this, I get really triggered, and I feel really, okay, I feel so emotional, and I really want to share more about security. And basically, we need to be very aware, because we in crypto, like crypto is full of money. So that's why we, like this space is full of scammers as well. So I'll give you some number, like 2025, like over $2 billion being stolen, particularly by North Korean. So North Korean linked hacker. There are groups like Lazarus and stuff. So the North Korean hackers are really advanced. This time, they are even improving the scam with AI. So AI has turned like these stated sponsor hackers into global cyber predators, creating deepfakes and writing malware, forging documents at scale. So let's break it down exactly how they pull it off, how AI changed the game, and what crypto firms can do to stay safe. All right, so as for the North Korean hackers, it's actually started years ago. So since 2017, North Korean-backed hackers have stolen an estimated like 3 to 4 billion USD in crypto alone. And as for 2025, like more than $2 billion being stolen by the North Koreans. So it's actually the worst year on record. So those funds being stolen by the North Korean hackers, of course, they're going to go back to Kim Jong-un to help fund weapons or some nuclear programs that Kim Jong-un is testing. And mainly the North Koreans, they targeted exchanges or breaches on DeFi protocols, or sometimes even individual developers. There are some very successful cases so-called successful by the North Korean. So North Korean hackers cash out hundreds of millions from the $1.5 billion Bybit hack. Like I'm sure you guys would, some of you guys would know. There's like, okay, they didn't steal $1.5 billion because some of that fund was frozen, but like they managed to steal like 300 million. So that's really generous for Kim Jong-un, some more nuclear program. So how they operate, how these North Korean operate, like of course they're going to target DeFi exploits like breaches. They use zero-day bugs and malware like Apple juices to access internal systems. They use phishing, so like phishing sites, fake wallet updates, fake NFT airdrops, or email attachments trying to steal private keys. They use like fake remote jobs. So the hackers actually would go to crypto projects and apply to be like a staff, like an IT staff or developer, and get hired remotely. Because at the end of the day, like out of all the industry, out of all these sectors we have in this world, like I would say crypto has like the most remote jobs so far. So when it comes to working remotely, it's very like it's global. Like even the North Korean could apply for a job, right? And then the method they use is that, okay, a bunch of North Korean agents have actually built thousands of fake LinkedIn and Upwork profiles. And even CC was sharing this, like was warning others. So he made out this tweet. So these North Korean hackers are very advanced, creative, and patient. I have seen and heard. Like they pose as job candidates to try to get jobs in the company. This gives you gives them a foot in the door. They especially like dev, security, and finance positions. So he described the job applicants with basically flawless resume but mismatched skills, and VPN IP address looks really suspicious, like suspicious region. And then they usually refuse video video interviews or like facial KYC, though this could be changed with AI. But okay, he tweeted this out. Wait, when this tweet is out? September 18th. But right now they're using AI. So back then his advice was that he require verified video calls, would use like AI to detect fraud, and also share a blacklist of flag applicants across the industry. So there are like these North Koreans. So he was sharing the list. So Binance alone has reportedly blocked hundreds of suspicious applicants linked to the North Korean. However, since they're using AI, so we need to be very cautious. Like they are using deepfakes to generate photo ID, fake video calls for job interviews. They are using, of course, like LLMs to write emails to sound more native English speakers. They are using like prompting LM to write malware scripts that steal wallet data and evade antivirus. So like all these tools allow the Lazarus group, like the North Korean group, to run 10 times faster than manual attacks. So we really have to protect ourselves. Crypto fraud is literally everywhere. So we have rug pulls. So maybe project rug pulls, project founders rug pulls, and then we have fake tokens, maybe made by North Koreans. And then there's also like romance scams, so like multi-billion dollars. But like North Koreans stand out because it's state backed and funds military projects. So they are really good at their job. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, all I'm sharing is that, okay, crypto scams are everywhere. We need to be alerted. We need to be cautious. It's always good to like verify. Like even you see the person with a video image, maybe with deepfakes. Like we need to be basically we can't trust anyone. And then saying this, I came across this like interesting meme because there is this claim on crypto Twitter that wait, was it like China is sending attractive women to seduce tech workers in Silicon Valley? So people are saying, okay, Larry Ellison, and then they're posting this picture. So Larry Ellison's wife is Jolene Zhu. She is 33 years old and he is 81 years old. And then people are saying, okay, maybe she's a spy. I don't know, it's just like interesting jokes about the Chinese spies marrying tech guys and trying to get information about the American tech industry. And so let's not forget, scammers is not just like North Korean, it's actually globally, everywhere. There's like no region limited. And then I also came across a tweet shared by the Wolf of All Streets. So there's a complicated Telegram hack going on. They exploit a contract, use the username, and invite you to a Calendly. When you sign on the Zoom, they gain access to your Telegram. So be very careful clicking links or invites, even from trusted friends. So always just like verify before clicking into any links or hopping onto any, basically, even video calls, like, because nowadays with AI, anything could be fake. And of course, like, protect your crypto assets. I'm speaking from a personal experience who I actually got hacked just 2 months ago. So please, I beg you guys, protect your asset very carefully. Use a cold wallet. My go-to is Tangent. So very fortunately, I split my funds. So not only on MetaMask, actually on different cold wallets, different exchanges, different hot wallets and cold wallets. My go-to is, of course, like Tangent. So I have a Tangent ring. So this is actually a cold wallet I've been wearing every single day. So like if you guys are interested, you could use my discount code GEMGEM10 for 10% off if you want to test out the Tangent cold wallet. And if you also need a detailed tutorial about how to set up your Tangent wallet, make sure to hop onto GEMGEM Crypto to dive for the deeper 10 minutes analysis and also 10 minutes tutorial setup. Anyways, final call to action because we have to wrap very soon. Make sure to give me a follow on Twitter. So my Twitter handle is GEMGEMCrypto_. Make sure to follow Roxham TV. We're going live right now. So make sure to give us a follow because we have updates basically every half an hour about the market. So MSTL, the miners credit rating, and also around the world. So it's not just Bitcoin, but like geopolitics news, basically news that from a Bitcoin investor perspective, from the Bitcoin lens of scan. So yeah, so from a Bitcoin's lens. So I would say do give us a follow because there are lots of valuable content. That's pretty much all I want to cover from today's live stream. Again, I'm live from Monday to Friday at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, breaking the biggest stories in crypto markets and AI. So if you enjoy the stream, make sure to hit the subscribe and catch the next one live. Every day we connect the dots between global news and digital assets so you can stay ahead of the curve. Whenever and wherever you're tuning in from, I hope you have a fantastic day and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's show.